the Paranormal Round Table, dark, because it is dark. I'm in the dark here out in the middle of nowhere. Um, so I just wanted to say hi. I'm not going to stay on real long. I know there's other people that are going live right now, and I don't want to step on their toes. But I'm out here at my cousin's place. They live out on a 100-acre ranch. Um, one of my cousins, they all kind of live pretty rural, and everybody's inside and playing pool and doing whatever. But I just wanted to say hi to you guys and tell everybody that I'm sorry that we didn't get to do the show tonight. We wanted to. We just had a lot of things going on, and not the least of which is this ridiculousness that's been happening. Um, I'm not going to talk about that. We're not going to bring it to the show, but I'm just letting you know that that's the main reason why. We just needed a night to get away from everything. And so we decided to come out into the middle of nowhere and just be at one of our cousins' farms and just, I don't know, I guess just kind of get out of the city and, just there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on, and I'm just not in the mood to deal with it. Of course, everybody probably knows that Trump got shot today. Just a lot of things going on in the world that aren't correct, they're not right. And somebody said, is this live? Yes, it is. I just want to be around people, that care about me. And I'm going to tell y'all something, and I don't know if people really know this about me, but in my real life, and I'm not saying that being on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook and all the different Spotify and all that, I'm not saying that's not real. That's not my real life. But it's not like I have a life outside of the show, which I'm sure everybody's well aware. But I have a lot of friends. So a friend of mine who is actually produces television told me that he thought about a very clever idea to not. I'm not into reality TV. I don't want to do reality TV, but he said that it would be interesting if I would be willing to do a show where people could actually sort of follow us around day to day for a couple of months and just see what our lives were like, so that people could relate to us and see that we're real people and that we're just like everybody else. And we we just want to be just left alone and be treated like people, instead of being looked at as these weird pariah people, whatever, that these people are trying to paint us out to be. I mean, it's like you would get another perspective on us and you would see who we are, that we work hard and we're hardworking people, but we don't get to play much, especially as of late. It's just mostly work and then the show. We are, I guess, probably by the definition, workaholics, but people would see that side of us too, that we work really hard. Thank you for those memberships. Tomorrow we are going to do the giveaway for the new shirts, so that's going to be cool. And I want everybody to know that we are normal people. We're not satanic. We're not demented and all this other crazy stuff that these people have been spewing out about us. We're hardworking people at our core, and we care about our audience and we care about everybody. But we do have a very, we do have a very large family on both sides of my family. And I'm close to the other people's families, the people that live with us. I'm close to their families too. And so I have a lot of friends and family. And one of my friends in my day-to-day life, I was talking to him earlier, and he was telling me, he's like, when I told him about the idea that my friend, the TV producer, had, he said that that would be a really good idea, as long as they didn't spin it or slant it. I said, nah. He said, do you trust this guy? I said, yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think he's trying to pull anything. I think he's just trying to help. He wants to help, and for people to see that we are, you know, decent folks. We're normal people, and it's not like what these people are trying to spin. It's this spin doctoring they keep doing to try to make us look like we're some kind of demented Manson family, whatever. Um, so I was just like, that. What do you think of that? And he told me, he says, dude, he goes, he told me what he thought. He goes, I honestly don't. I don't think you should give a crap. He asked me if it was worth it to keep doing it, if it was was it part of how I make a living? And I actually told him, I said, no, not really. He asked me, and he's been seeing all the stuff that people have been posting as of late, the people on the other side, and they got their new general that's been going on and on and on, like he's trying to run for office. And so we talked, and he asked me about that situation, and I told him, and he says, these people don't know you. They don't know you like I know you. They don't know you like my wife knows you. They don't know you like my brother knows, because I know their whole family. And he's like, they don't know you like all of your friends here. If they were here, they would see your family and friends and how close everyone is and to you, and how um, much, you mean to people. And that made me feel good because, I was kind of down, and I was like, it seems like every time I turn around, one of these people are beginning some new drama, and people are like, oh, well, it's Josh Turner, he's, and I just want to be left the hell alone. That's all I want. I just want to be able to do the show. I don't want to fight with anybody else. I don't want anybody else coming out of the woodwork and attacking me. And I feel like people are not really in touch with who I really am. They don't know the real me. And I know some of these people that have been in the community for a long time. They've been in the community longer than me. And that was another thing that was thrown out to me by one of my author friends who contacted me the other day after this all popped off. And he was like, he's like, it's a jealousy, but he also said that there's this sort of this, bitterness towards me because some of these people look at me as like, oh, this guy just showed up a few years ago, and now everybody likes him and wants to be in his in his circle, and they don't feel like I deserve it, like. And I told him, I said, dude, I work hard. I do really. I work. He goes, I know that. And he goes, and your other colleagues know that, but he goes, but some of these people, they're bitter, and they're angry, because they feel like they should be getting more accolades and more of everything because they've been in the community longer, they've been around longer, and they feel like I stole their thunder or something. And I told him, I was like, I can't help that. And what he told me was basically like, well, that's not your job to help. That's their problem. They're the ones that have the problem. And he's been in the community for a long time, decades, at least a couple decades. And he was like, dude, it's not you, it's them. They just have an issue. And so I get that. That resentment that these people have, but it's like, what do? I can't help that you feel a certain way, that you feel like you should have what I have or what I've accomplished or achieved. And that's really wrong. And I don't think it's right that they should um, be feeling that way, but I can't control how they feel. Like I do what I do. I give everything from my heart. I do this, because I want to help, people learn. And and they always say that I'm trying to do this for the money. And that's like the dumbest thing ever, because I don't ask for that. I don't beg for it. And they keep talking about that like constantly, like that's some source of contention for them. And it's just not who I am. That's not, I don't get up here and ask for things, you know? Um, we did want to get some camera equipment because we were going to try and do this, go out and do some boots on the ground work or whatever. And this whole stuff popped up, and now we're kind of sitting there, going like, well, I guess we're going to have to use our money to do something legally with these people. And it just now I'm going back to like, who do we? They just keep coming out. More and more people like that are in this little cabal. Like I don't know how to even take a bite out of this. It's like so confusing because I don't know who to trust. I have people from the past who were against me, and now they're saying they're not against me because now that I'm facing these other people, now they're like, well, now we're cool. And I'm like, oh God, I don't can't breathe. It's like I don't I feel like I can't I don't know who to trust. I just don't. We as a group here, we don't know who to trust. We don't know who to trust, and we don't know what to believe or who to believe. Because now that this other person has come out, there's other people popping up saying, "Oh, now we're on your side because now he's gone and you're not a part affiliated with him. So now you're cool or whatever." And I'm like, this is crazy because not taking anything away from them. I mean, they saw the same thing I'm seeing now, but I was supposed to have seen this before, I guess, but I didn't, and people are asking me, they're like, well, if he was this way, why did you still associate with him? And the thing is, I knew he was a certain way, but I never thought he would be that way toward me. And I thought the people that he was that way with, I thought like that he had his reasons. Like I know he had some issues with people, and I thought that he had his reasons for being the way that he was, and so I thought, well, he hasn't done anything. Everybody does that. They're like, well, they haven't done anything to me, so I'm just gonna continue being friends with them, and that's a big mistake because if you see somebody being a certain way to people, um, sometimes those people have it coming. Like you got to think, okay, yeah, there's probably a reason why they don't like them, but then you got to also wonder, like, when they get mad, like they're gonna turn on you like that. They're gonna use that against you, and that there were a lot of red flags, man. Like seriously, and when I saw that this was inevitable, I gathered everybody together and I just said, look, I want y'all to know something that breaks my heart. And this was over a month ago. And I was like, you see where this is headed. And it was a matter of when, not if, you know what I mean? And so whenever that popped up, that stupid handle that person used, it was like his reason, like that was it. He was like, oh, I'm going full tilt on this dude. But it all came out too perfectly. It was like they had it orchestrated. So my thing, the point of this, I guess, is just kind of rambling. I'm sorry, but my point is this: is that I've always just wanted to help. I never wanted for this to go on. The war with the people like that we called the Filthy Five. It's like that's pretty much over with. I mean, I could see that with the exception of one. And he is just the one that started it all. I mean, he's the one that started this whole thing. And for my friend to turn and join him and even use those, it's like, good God, dude, like you can't even trust, like, even though it was coming, it's like you can't prepare for that. And I was talking to one of our friends today, Bettina, I was talking to her, and like we were talking about it, and I was like, it's like a death in the family, but like somebody that's dying, they're going to die. But like, even though my mother was in hospice when she died, it still broke my heart the minute that she passed. It was like I couldn't breathe. Well, that's kind of what happened when I got gut punched the other day, and I was just like, really, man? And I told Nell, I said, here we go. It's on. They're making their big push, their move on us. And I was just like, I knew it was going to happen, but it's still, you kind of still have that hope. Like, I guess it's like until it happens, you still kind of have this hope, like, okay, maybe he'll do an about face. He'll see reality. He'll see that who's right and wrong. He'll do the right thing. They're not going to, maybe, yeah, you just kind of got that feeling that's not going to happen, and then you have to eat of that bitter, fruit, and that and it's hard, man. It's but that's what makes us human, is feeling those emotions. At least we feel it. At least I know that I'm not some psychopath, that I feel for people, and I care about my listener. I care about my audience, a lot. I care about people a lot. Um, and I don't know if that's what got me in trouble, is maybe the altruism. It was just not correct. I should not have, I was just being altruistic and it got me in trouble. Like maybe sometimes I need to not be as nice and let people in, bring somebody to your home for a week and a half, you know, and then they turn around and say the worst things about you and make up shit about the trip. It's like, you really, really, I mean, that's like the low, like low. It's really, and then you're like, damn, like how many, like who, like, how do you say it? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's a setback mentally. You know what I mean? Like you mentally, it sets you back and you're just like, holy crap, man. Like no matter what you do, no matter what you do, man, it's not enough. These people will still turn on you. Like I'm convinced at this point, like if I gave everyone in this community $1 million, they would still come after me and my family, and they would just be like, well, he only gave us $1 million. Like why didn't he give us, $1.5 million? It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. So at this point, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do the show. Whoever wants to watch and be a part of it can come and watch and be a part of it. And I don't care anymore. I'm not going to go out of my way to I'm not going to go bend over backwards to help people anymore. I'm just not. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like to any of my listeners, but I'm not going to, as far as other YouTubers, podcasters, and whatever, I'm not going to take a dump on anybody, but I'm not going out of my way, man, anymore to help people. There's a few people that I'm cool with and that I'm going to stick with, and I'm going to promote them and help them. And that's going to be it. There's no more now. I just can't. We can't let anybody else in. And like I was talking to Bettina about it earlier today. Me and her are still pretty tight, but I just said, look, I just think that it's best in all of our best interests that we just don't allow any more content creators to get that close. It's just not a good idea. I still want to work with other people and collaborate with them. I'll still bring other people on the show, bigger podcasters, smaller podcasters, YouTubers. It doesn't matter. I'll work with them, but I'm not going to go out of my way to promote them, and I'm not going to throw money to help them and give them anything like that anymore, because it just falls to nothing. It did nothing for us to be kind to them. I mean, they turned and bit us like snakes. And so, I just feel like I'm not going to let this change me but I'm going to just learn from it. Let's put it that way. I'm going to learn from it. I'm just going to be like, I'm not going to let it change me into like a bad person to where you're just like bitter and angry and become a super villain type, whatever. But it's definitely had a profound effect on the way I look at this community. I already looked at it a certain way, dealing with the Filthy Five, and I was just like, man, these people, they're horrible. Their listeners are pretty bad, but when your own people turn on you, that's really messed up. I mean, that's when you're just like, wow, dude, like really, and part of it was because I wouldn't continue to fight. And like I said, and then the other part of it was because of jealousy. And they turned on Anthony because of, his relationship with Maddie. And I fought for them too. I'm still doing it. And, in the end, it's just made us look like a bunch of, maniacs on both sides and look like angry, crazy people. I mean, I'm just sitting here dumbfounded, like, and I'm guilty too, man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like them and be all like, I'm holy and pious. No, dude, no, I'm not. I've let everybody down. I engaged in, mudslinging and fighting and doing whatever, and it was not correct. And I made the statement yesterday that if they would just leave me alone and go away, I would just walk away. Please, just leave us be, for God's sakes. I mean, I literally mean God's sakes, please. Just leave us alone, And they couldn't do that. It was like the very next day, both barrels, boom, And then these people are trying to, like come at me for everything they can think of, and it's like it's never ending, and I just can't deal with it anymore. The never ending perpetual warfare is too much. I want to be friendly with people, but I just don't want this anymore. I don't want this crap. And so we talked about it again. Once again, it came up like, do we end the show? Do we stop the show? And I today, for the first time in probably months, I honestly felt like today I was like, you know what? Today I could end it and not even look back ever, and not even, I just didn't feel it. I was like, I just don't feel it anymore. And I'm not trying to be like overly sensitive or be a titty baby about this, or whatever. Um, just felt like quitting. It just felt like, and I just was like, let's just go, let's leave, never look back. And then Anthony was like, well, he goes, if you do it now, then it looks like we ran and let them, do whatever. And I told him, I was like, I don't care how it looks anymore. I really don't give a crap. I don't, But then I thought about that statement and I was like, it's not true. That is not true. I do care. I don't really care so much about how I look because, I mean, I've said that I don't really give a crap about that. But I care about our listeners. I care about our audience. And I don't want them to have to deal with this shit. It's not something that y'all should have to deal with. And I love you guys. You guys are great, man. When I say guys, I mean guys and gals. It's like I'm not just saying. They'll jump on that too and turn it into something weird or say that I'm being a chauvinist or something. It just doesn't matter what I say. They'll turn it into. I could say the whatever. They'll turn it into something bad. So I do. I really care about everybody. And I want everybody to be happy, but I can't. It seems like I just can't win no matter what I do. I can't win for losing, and no matter how much I try to give of myself. Some of the things that were said, like, oh, what did he do to unite the community? I remember putting together 2 conferences that had hundreds and hundreds of people. I thought I did that, but I guess that wasn't enough. I thought I created something special with our live chats where people could come and be together from all walks of life. I guess that wasn't enough. That was, so you just kind of get disheartened and you're just like, you know what? F this. I'm done. But it's like Anthony said, like, we can't stop now. That would be the worst, to just quit now. And I'm not saying we're going to do it, in the future because I don't know what's going to happen, but how much can you take? And I think at this point, the strategy is to just keep applying pressure on us, and eventually we'll break and we'll just go away. And then they can take the field and they can have our listeners, because that seems to be the big prize for them. They always talk about the paratroopers. So I guess what they're trying to do is take y'all's hearts and minds and get you away from us and go become a part of whatever the fuck it is that they're doing. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, they're not brain dead test monkeys, so they're not going to do that. And, what's up? Hey, Bella. Hold on one second. Come here. What are you doing? Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Hang on one second, guys. Come here. Come here, sweetheart. Come on. Come on. Can you get up? It's okay. They are good animals. It's one of my cousin's dogs. She's such a little sweetheart. And the kitty cats are down here too. I love animals. They're not mean and vindictive like people. When I was a kid, I was a latchkey kid, and my dad was always gone at work, and my mom was gone at work. And when my mom and dad split up, my dad sort of forced me to stay with him he just kind of manipulated me. Honestly, I was afraid. I was afraid of him. I was afraid of him a lot, and I was very afraid of my dad. Honestly, I was scared of him. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared of my dad, and he would work graveyards. Sometimes I'd go outside at night, like the middle of the sticks, out in the middle of the woods, and I had a tent, and I'd pitch it sometimes, and I'd sleep out in the yard because I couldn't have my dogs inside, so I'd sleep with the dogs outside. I love my dogs a lot. And then when my parents got back together, they just unceremoniously made me give my dogs away, which to this day, I don't know what happened to them. Rosie, Pumpkin, and Ranger, those were my 3 dogs that I had to get rid of. And that was a nightmare. I don't know whatever happened to them, but I still think about it sometimes. And I've told people before, like, I do love people too, though. I'm not one of these people that's like, I hate everybody. I hate people, and animals are better, and people suck. People can suck too, but animals are sweet, and they're innocent. They don't deserve, we don't deserve them. People are so snotty and cruel that pets are a very important thing, and it's like, I thought that was pretty funny when he said no pets allowed. I'm like, wow, because I bring my pets on the show all the time because they're special to me. They're special to us. They're part of our family. I'm not one of those people who's like, these are my children. I don't know, but they're still a very important part of my life. When it comes to, my day-to-day life, I do look at things pretty pragmatically. I'm not some weird dreamer whose heads are up in the clouds. I have to live in this reality, and I have a lot of responsibility, but my pets are sweet animals, all of them. And even my cousin's pets. I like my friend's pets. One of my friend's dog. I had a really cool friendship with him. It was a very good dog. I had another friend that had a really cool cat, and that I like to visit because I'd play with the cat. The cat's pretty. So you go to visit, it's kind of like a bonus because the animals are really cool. So I think we could learn something from animals if we could be less animalistic in our impulse, but more like animals in the way that they give unconditionally and they love. I think it would be a big. Come on. Come on. Come on, girl. Come on. You want to go? Come on. Come on, sweetheart. Get up. Well, it keeps coming up to the truck and trying to get in, and then the cats keep running up and swiping at her, and then she runs into the truck chasing them. But anyway, like I was saying, I think if we could learn a lesson from animals. So since you're here, and I'm out here in the middle of the sticks, I'll give you a story. Since you stuck around this long. So this area where I'm at, it's in between a place called Thorndale and Thrall, Texas. And we've done a lot of research in this area, especially on the other side of Thrall near Apache Pass. That's an area that's known for ghosts. And my friend Trey Felton actually wrote a book about it. And so there are lots of weird stories out there. There have been ghost hunters out there galore, Bigfoot hunters that have come and gone through this area, and treasure hunters, believe it or not, because there's a story of a man named Spivey, and I can't remember his first name, but he supposedly buried his gold out there, and that's what they all say. I grew up with the story since I was a kid, and we'd drive out there near Apache Pass, and we'd be like, "We're going out there near Apache Pass. You gotta be careful. There's Bigfoot. Let's go over the Horseman's Bridge, and the Black Bull Bridge, and all these Hoxie, and all these places that we knew were haunted and full of monsters and ghosts and stuff." And this area out here is no exception. where I'm at, sitting right here where I'm at, in this area, there have been sightings of all kinds of things. Not far from here, there's a bridge, and like I said before, there was a Confederate soldier who was supposedly beheaded when he was hung from a tree. And it's a pretty tragic story. The story is that the Union soldiers came down. He resisted because they tried to take his slaves, not to free them, but to force them into combat service to go and fight the natives. And the slaves that he was with were like, no, we're going to stay here because they really didn't want to have to go and be in the military and fight and die fighting the Comanches, which is, there was a high turnover rate with that. And so he resisted and he said, no, these people are like, we're together. And so they took a couple of them and they took him and they took his son and they hung them all. Well, this particular soldier, he not only was he hung, but he was hung by his feet and they beheaded him. It was a very brutal and horrible ending, but that happened to a lot of people who resisted the North at that time. As we call them, the Yankees. I'm not harboring any resentment or whatever. I didn't. It's long before my time. It's like my grandfather's grandfather, whatever. So I have a lot of friends that are from the North or Yankees, whatever. Nothing personal. I'm from the South. That's just how we grew up, believing, that we were mistreated after the war. Whatever the war was about, whether it was states' rights, slavery, or whatever, or to keep the federal government out of your business, regardless. It ended up being like a big problem because after the war, Reconstruction was very hard on the Southerners, and a lot of people were mistreated. And what's really sad is that they were supposed to be helping the blacks and freeing them and doing all this. They got mistreated along with everybody else, and a lot of them were forced into being conscripted into the military and forced to go and fight the natives to exterminate them. Yay, federal government. That's the thing. But what ended up happening is this guy, he was literally hung by his feet and beheaded. Now I've talked about this on the show. I believe it was the Hoxie Bridge episode. This man apparently has been seen multiple times. Now I hadn't had a report from it in a while, but I got one back in May, which wasn't that long ago. This is July, and so this was like early May, around Cinco de Mayo. I think it was May 4th, actually, if I remember correctly. So I thought about it, and I got it from a guy named, well, I'm not going to say his last name, but his first name is Peter. He works around here. He's a local boy, and he probably doesn't want me saying his last name. And people probably make fun of you. I mean, even though people know in this area there's a lot of weird stuff, people are still going to make fun of me. He has a blue-collar job, and I don't want him. He didn't say not to say his last name. I'm just not going to do it. But anyway, a lot of people call him PD. But PD had an encounter with this specter. It was May 4th, as I think he said, and he was driving down the road, and he was with his girlfriend, who subsequently she's been diagnosed with a rare form of kidney disease, which is like I forgot what it's called, what it does, but it's real bad. So she could use some prayers always. People could pray for everybody. But anyway, she was with him, and they saw this, what they thought was a man riding on horseback. And so it was really, 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 what is this? Rusty Shackelford. So anyways, he was riding on horseback, and he was really, really fast. And they were like, damn, this guy's like hauling ass, dude. And so as they started to pull up next to the guy, they started to realize like they were doing about 65. And of course, he's got like a really nice older Mustang. And he's had that thing forever, man. Like it's like I remember he's a few years older than me, but I remember him like hanging out with my sister's boyfriend, and Pete always had a really fast car. And so I just remember like, damn, that's a really, a hell of a car, There's any of these American muscle cars, and that particular Mustang he had souped up. And I remember him having like a couple others, And so he said, dude, I was going down these back roads with my girlfriend, who she's quite a bit younger than him, but she verified what he said too. We had a conversation, me and her, but it wasn't real long. But she just kind of, reiterated what he had said, and she said that this guy looked like he was glowing. And as they got closer to the guy, the headlights, at no time did he look like transparent. That's the thing. This specter, this man on horseback, right? There was no transparency. They thought, oh, this is an actual guy on a horse. But it was odd because he was wearing this weird jacket and this weird pants, and he looked to have like a sword and a scabbard hanging from his side. And the horse he was on was pale and white, and he was pale and white, and everything he was wearing was pale and white with a little bit of blue tint to it. So they thought it was odd. And they said, oh my gosh. And this dude, he was galloping at a speed. He goes, we were going 60, 70 miles an hour. He goes, so I slowed down so I wouldn't run into him because his speed, his, whatever, stayed steady. He goes, and then all of a sudden, this dude whips around on this horse and begins to ride the other way. He goes, and when he rode by our vehicle, and he told me, he goes, you remember the vehicle I got? He's like, it's a fast, really, tricked out car. And he's like, I decided to do a quick U-turn, and I was going to follow this guy because I was like, man, this is incredible. This has to be something supernatural. He's like, I wanted to get a look at this man. I wanted to look at him and look him in the eye and be like, who in the hell is this guy? And what Pete and his girlfriend saw was a man with no head. It was just a body. And he appeared to have like a Confederate cavalryman's kit on. And he said but he had a bluish pallor to him. I said, like a Yankee? He said, no, not like a Yankee. Like just a little bit of powdery blue. That's about it. And it was white. And he said, this man had no head, Wolf. I'm not joking. There was the horseman. He was headless. Now, many people have seen him over the years. I've been on that road many times where he was at. I've never seen him, but he always appears towards that little small bridge right there. Kind of spooky, Sleepy Hollowish type thing, Now, if you go about 2 or 3 miles west of there is the Black Bull Bridge, where people have said that they have run into this black bull that'll push their vehicle, or it'll actually, and my Uncle Sal swears up and down that he was out on a date with, what I always called her my spiritual mother, Martha, and she's, God rest her soul. But that they were on that bridge and they ran into this bull and they drove right through it. So what these things are, I don't know. I can't tell you. I just know that people run into them every once in a while. The time of night, though, I asked him, and he said it wasn't like super late. It was like 1 a.m, 1 something. But yeah, I guess he was just out for a midnight ride. Maybe it was time to go back. So he did this about face and was headed back to whatever dimension he came from. But that story was pretty freaky. I believe him. I think he's being honest about that because some of the stories I've gotten about that particular being really wild. So anyway, folks, yeah, thank you, Joanne. She said hit the like button in honor of Josh's birthday. Is it my birthday already? What the heck? What time is it? I can't see on here unless I get out, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to turn the truck on. Oh, well. Yeah, it will be my birthday at midnight. I will be 35. Thank you, everyone that has... I actually told somebody that the other day. I was like, yeah, I'll be 35 in a few days. And they were like, wow, I thought you were in your 20s. I'm like, you liar. I'm like, oh, go on. Get out of here. Go on. And they're like, okay. I said, no, really. Go on. Go. Keep going. Keep talking good. No, just kidding. No, it's... I'm going to do some things like we're gonna go out there on that road, and we're gonna, like, when we get time to scratch our heads and actually, once we get through the month of July, we get moved into this new place and we get out of where we're at. We have to check our vehicles for bugs, for trackers, because one of our neighbors told us something really disturbing, which I'm not going to talk about right now. But I'm worried now because now we've had to put a guard there in front of our house again. So being stalked is not fun. And I'm not going to speculate and say who I think is doing it because that would be wrong because I don't know. I don't have any proof. But I can kind of take a guess. But, who these people belong to or who they are, whatever, what's causing it. I know what's causing it. But you really don't know who's doing it because it could be anybody that they're associated with because they maybe not even sent them. There's just a lot of crazy zealous people that are like overzealous and be like, oh, I'll take care of it. Let me go over there and start tampering and messing with these people. So it could be anybody. But the bottom line is being a public figure is not always fun. And I honestly, when I got into this, I was so stupid. I was so naive. And I was like, I'm going to work with everybody, blah, blah, blah. And that was that was not. And it's kind of funny, man, because like, it was actually, somebody who I don't care for, much at all. And there's a couple somebodies that told me that. And they're like, no, you won't. You can't work with everybody. And I was like, why is that? And they're like, you won't. You will not. There's too many factions. You work with one person, another person's going to get upset. They're not going to like you, and then they're going to come after you. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then sure enough, yep, that's the way it was. Kerry Arnold always said that too. He told several people that, that you were, didn't correspond with him much, but all it takes is one time. And then the person tells you, hey, this is the way it is. And you're like, wow, that's correct. Brenton Solomon, same thing. He's like, I tried to be friends with everybody. He goes, and people were still mean to him, as nice as he was. Scott Marty said the same thing. God rest his soul. These people, they just, they saw it from all angles. And a couple of people that I associate with now that I'm really good friends with, they said the same thing. There's like, you can try, but there's going to be people that you're not going to like. And even the most docile, most kind people in this field, and there are some really good people in this field that don't fight with anybody, they don't mess with nobody, they stay out of everything no matter what. And those people are truly neutral. And what I mean by that is they're not going to tell you, oh, I'm neutral, and not really be neutral, really be playing for the other team, just telling you that. A lot of these people are truly neutral. And they'll tell you, they'll be like, yeah, F that person. You know what I mean? They even have somebody that they don't like they are absolute enemies with. And I was shocked at a few of them. I was like, wow, you really don't like that person? I'm like, no, I do not. And because they've seen too much misbehavior, and so it just happens, And I realize like I'm not perfect and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, man. And I don't need to be. I don't have to be everybody's friend, but I want people to know that I am a real guy. And the stuff that people say about me all the damn time is not correct. I mean, they just they make up so much crap that sometimes, one of my friends in my real life, like I say real life, but like y'all are in my real life too, but I mean like my day-to-day life, they'll message me and they'll be like, look at this shit, I'll read it and I'll just be like, wow, it's just a nonstop disco, man, And then you stop and you think about it though, And even though my dad he could be an exceedingly callous person at times and even cruel, he did teach me things, And he told me one time, he said, boy, you're not on this earth to be everybody's effing friend. He said, you care too much about what people think, and why do you care about people, period? And he always told me, he says, these people that you care about so much, they wouldn't piss on your teeth. You wouldn't piss on your gums if your teeth were on fire. And I always thought like that's his way of thinking. And I always was like, no, I don't agree with that, because even if these people don't care about me the way I care about them, I'm not going to let that change who I am. And I'm still going to do what I do for people. I know in my heart who I am. I guess I just want other people to see me the way that I know that I am, not the way that these other people are slandering and painting me. But the truth is, they don't really know me. So they're just saying things they don't know. They watch a show, a few hours a week, and they think that that's who I am, and it's really not. I mean, it's like they don't really know. And then some people, it's not their fault either. They just get a little bit of a slander from somebody, and they don't know anything else. And so they just base their opinion on it. I was reading the other day, one of these guys says, I don't know anything about Josh Turner, and I've never watched his show because based on what people have told me about him, I don't want to know him, and I don't, and that's pretty sad because the truth is he's missing out, And like last night on the show, yeah, we joked and laughed and had a good time, and it was just a good way to unwind, whatever. But I said some very pertinent information that was important to people in a way that they could use. Like I talked last night, if you watch the show, about Tacitus and Suetonius, Pliny the Younger, and Josephus, all Roman scribes and philosophers, historians, and one of them was even a senator. And one of the things that they all talked about was the fact that Jesus actually existed and that he was crucified under Pontius Pilate, and under the reign of Augustus Caesar. So there's actual literary proof. They kept actual records. And so whenever somebody says there's really no actual proof that Jesus existed, that's ridiculous. And so I pointed that out on the show last night. We didn't have a very big crowd. And I thought it was pretty bad. It was a shame that we did not have a bigger crowd because we really needed to have more people in there that could hear that information. And hold on one second. What's up, Tony?
Grab the whiskey.
You want to say hi to everybody?
Hey everybody, sorry we couldn't do it live tonight. We decided to take an off day, have some personal time with some family.
Yep. So go ahead and grab it, whatever. Let's see the door. There you go. Making sure it was unlocked. So anyway, bottom line is you can't please everybody. You can't make everybody like you. You can't make everybody be your friend, and I'm not going to try. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do what I do. And we're just all going to do what we do, They're all going to have a drink and have some fun and whatever and shoot pool and play cards. I don't really shoot pool. I don't play cards much and I don't drink. So I'm just going to be hanging out and visiting and talking with my cousins and maybe talk about getting some cattle out here. It's a nice place, 100 acres. It's one of the farms, ranches that I like to come out to, and he's got a nice tank full of fish out here. It's a nice place, man. It's peaceful. It's a barn dominium house. It's pretty cool. My cousin's dad, I'm not related to him, but he has a mechanic shop right here. He works on vehicles and stuff, and this is a nice place out here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to have some fun while everybody else takes a load off and has a drink. My birthday, like I said, it's at midnight, and we're not doing this to celebrate my birthday. I haven't celebrated my birthday since I was 9 years old, but I mean, it's another day. But thank you to everybody who wished me happy birthday, and I appreciate that. And everybody's just been kind to me and followed the show, especially the paratroopers who've been with me since through all this thick and thin, and just all this nonsense. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to all of you. That is, I feel like I've put everybody through this by always having to stand my ground, and I should just at times just let them do and say whatever, and they want to. I guess I just wanted to not be looked at in a bad way, and my family to not be looked at in a bad way, and my friends. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can't control people and how people see you. You just got to do what you got to do. All right, folks, I'm going to go. Thank you for tuning in. Go check out BMR. My apologies to BMR. He's on right now. I didn't get to do the show, and I had to tell you guys. I didn't want to leave you hanging, especially, I just didn't feel like it was right. But I'll be on tomorrow night, and we're going to talk and do some stories, and tell people's encounters. So tomorrow night, apologies to anyone who was expecting to be able to come on the live stream. Another 3 or 4 people that have messaged me and said, hey, I'm going to be in the live. I want to tell my encounter, and I apologize for that. We will be back next Saturday, too, to let you tell your encounters. And I don't know if I'll be able to set up an interview for Monday or Wednesday. I'm going to try, but I don't know if I'll be able to. It's going to be a very hectic week. But thank you. We'll be making our debut on Instagram and TikTok Not really my thing, but Kiem says that's what we need to do, and Kiem is now in charge of the producing the media. So we're going to let him do. He knows more than me. I'm going to let him do what he's got to do. He's one of these young tech genius people. Let him do what he's got to do. Thank you for tuning in to Paranormal Roundtable. I really do love you all, and thank you for your support, and good night.